भारत की आजादी के समय से
The fact that Britain financed its industrial revolution and its prosperity from the depredations of empire.
पूरे विश्व में एक पोस्ट कॉलोनियल कालखंड की शुरुआत।
The fact that Britain came to one of the richest countries in the world in the early 18th century and reduced it after 200 years of plunder to one of the poorest.
With the advent of Britishers, there started an era of darkness over the Indian subcontinent. Be it the Jallianwala Bagh massacre or Bengal famine, Brits never accepted that they were standing on the wrong side of the history. Today, India stands strong with 4th strongest military and 5th largest economy across the globe. But people, have you ever wondered how India was able to achieve this feat? Well, in today's video, we will try to analyze how India built one of the strongest and lethal militaries despite the wounds that India was given time and again. To understand the rise of India's military, let's try to understand the economics that played its part behind the scenes. So all this starts with Britishers establishing their foothold in name of trade and commerce through the so-called East India Company. While most of the empires of India were busy with their own internal wars, Britishers were getting stronger by exploiting Indians on economic front. After 17th century, while Indian economy was on a continuous fall, the British economy was rising. Unsound economic policies and corrupt administrative management by British led to deindustrialization of India. Britain had managed to make India a source of cheap raw material for industrial revolution on its own land. Once, where India used to contribute 23% of the world GDP, it was merely reduced to 4% after 2 centuries of depredations by British. Now people, you may have heard of the famous quote that as you sow, so shall you reap. And the recent economic crisis in Britain is one of the examples of it. Nevertheless, we won't dig up the dirt that Brits had done in past, as most of us are already aware of doings of Britishers in past. So people, now let's try to understand the military history of India. India's military history dates back to 6th century BC, when some belligerent forces like Persians, Mongols and Turks used the northwestern borders of the subcontinent to enter the then Golden Bird with not so decent thoughts. Though nature had formed a natural boundary around India, the area acted as a hindrance-free gateway to enter the rich alluvial plains. The migrant attacking forces took the people living there by surprise, since they had no experience or knowledge to fight a trained platoon of fellow humans. These are the instances which taught people to pick up weapons. And the same happened when imperialistic British took over the Indian subcontinent. Be it the revolt of 1857 or Purna Swaraj, these instances became a part of events which finally led to independence of India. But people, have you ever wondered what happened to Indian military post-independence? Well, here is the analysis. In August 1947, the strength of Indian military stood at 4 lakhs, which was reduced to 2 lakhs so that the military expenditures could be brought down. And in the years to come, there was no effective plan to modernize the Indian military. As a result, when 1962 India-China war took place, we had to face the wrath of Chinese military, and unfortunately, Archisha region was taken away from India. But people, as someone has quoted, that tough times never last, but tough people do. And same applied to India. We understood that without power, there can be no peace. The wins in 1962, 1971 and 1999 wars against Pakistan made India a confident nation on military front. What added to it was the indigenous production of missiles like Agni, Akash and Prithvi, as a part of integrated missile development program taken by APJ Abdul Kalam. As India became strong on economic front, it strengthened its military with latest tech missiles and tanks. The investment in DRDO galvanized the domestic defense industry. Moreover, India during the end of 20th century commenced the development of its very own flagship aeronautical project. Also, the joint venture with the Soviet Union to develop a supersonic cruise missile system accentuated the Indian defense system. Over 20 years, from 2000 to 2020, India's defense budget increased from $14.29 billion to $72.89 billion. This investment led to coming of several aerospace and defense giants in the Indian subcontinent for manufacturing. And today in 2022, India is on its ambitious path to build one of the strongest military through indigenization with Make in India-like policies. And over the years, Indian military has inducted some of the most advanced weapons which are leading the path to modernize the Indian military. Projects like AMCA aims to make India self-sufficient in building one of the most advanced fighter jets that the world have ever witnessed. Now people, there is a very important fact to be noted that India ranks 4th in Global Firepower Index, whereas Britain lags far behind and ranks 8th as of 2022. So if you don't know what Global Firepower Index is, it is one of the indexes where nations are ranked based upon their military powers. Now the very question which may be cloning its way in your head would be why United Kingdom, despite being one of the developed countries, is ranked 8th in GFP index. And here is the analysis. Between 1920 and 1939, Britain sat on to conquer the world. They achieved this by setting up the colonies as a breeding ground for raw materials for British industries. In pursuit of doing so, they had to deploy their troops in the colonies to maintain the political hegemony. The British economy soared, but the condition of its military deteriorated. The soldiers became frustrated with regular foreign postings and participation in the war. Some reports also connect the current economic crisis in UK to its military decline. To put it all in a nutshell, India's perseverance is what has made poverty-stricken, newly independent nation from the colonial rule of 2 centuries to where it stands today, as one of the strongest and lethal militaries known to the world. And with that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's end our today's video, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, work hard, stay sharp.